Are you ready to take your podcast to the next level?
The first thing that we learned is podcasting is like index.
It's time to get a lot better.
On top of that, just having keywords but not promoting it isn't enough.
Here's the secret. This is Neil Patel, helping you succeed through online marketing.
All right, so we're going to talk about how to make your podcast more popular. These are lessons learned from 7 years of doing this pod. And what we're also going to do with the bonus here is we're going to share how we're changing things up. So Neil, you can go ahead and kick this one off.
Yeah, so the first thing that we learned is podcasting is like index. And just like your website, the more web pages you have, the more traffic you can get. But with most podcasts, once you've been doing it long enough, they only show the last 10, 20, 30 episodes or whatever it may be. Showcase all your episodes in your feed. If you showcase all your episodes, the more traffic you're going to get from people searching. That's a big mistake that most new podcasts make, and it can impact your views and listens quite drastically. The other thing that we've learned, and Eric can talk more about this, he has the retention numbers more than I do.
85 to 90% of people will listen through our podcast. They're like 5 to 6 minutes each. In terms of people that return, it's actually not as many you would think, because if I pull up our cohort retention graph, let's say you listen to this podcast episode, 40% will come back for the next one. And then for the next one after that, maybe only like 10%. And there's a significant drop off.
And our podcast is you digest a lot of information, you take action on the strategies, and then you end up going from there. And you can always end up listening again when you want more marketing advice. But the big thing that I was getting with retention is the better your retention, the better off you're going to end up doing. When you have crap retention, we find that it's just not as good when it comes to views. Whether it's the algorithms within these platforms, we just find that they are tracking retention and how many people are watching through. But even though our retention is high, the caveat I would give is we still get way more listens if our episodes are double or triple the length, even if the retention drops down. So the algorithms aren't just looking at retention for your episode. They're looking at retention for your episode based on how long it is. So they're taking that in factor from what we can tell.
The thing to also speak to too is break through to the next level, which we'll talk about what we're planning to do. We're just going to be recording a lot more in person. We're going to break things down a little bit. And we also know that when we record in person, the videos perform a lot better for whatever reason on YouTube, because whatever you're seeing on the screen right now, people are sick and tired of watching these Zoom meetings, these talking heads. We're aiming for higher quality, which means higher retention.
Yeah, the other thing that we've learned about podcasts is similar to just SEO. If you do your keyword research and you put in keywords within your title, it makes a massive difference on listens. I don't know why people just don't do this. You can use any of the tools out there for this, but no joke, putting popular keywords in your title towards the beginning generates you way more views than if you don't have popular keywords within your title. Similar to how you do like traditional SEO, you want to spend a lot of time with promotion. I've always talked about if you spend 20% of your time creating the content, 80% of your time promoting, you'll do much better versus just cranking out tons of content. And similar to podcasting, the thing Eric and I don't do enough, but we found it to really boost our numbers. We've done, I don't know what you want to call them, but let's call it shout out for shout outs, right? In which we'll trade impressions, ad impressions. So let's say if there's another show, we'll trade 1,000 impressions for 1,000 impressions, or 100,000 impressions for 100,000 impressions, whatever the number is. And this is important because if you have a new podcast with only 1,000 impressions, you can still trade 1,000 impressions, and someone else, even if their podcast has 10 million impressions a month, they can just give you 1,000 impressions and you shout out their episodes or their podcast within your episodes, and they shout out your podcast within their episodes. And that really helps juice your numbers and creates amazing, not just fans or subscribers, but it creates loyal ones as well.
Other than that, I think if your ideas are good, so you think about, we talked about a couple episodes ago with YouTube, the total addressable market of your idea, the broader it is, the better, right? And I think the total addressable market also with the idea as it relates to the quality of your niche, that matters too. So whenever we talk about experiments that we're running that work really well, those tend to do a lot better than us talking about more general topics. We're getting more aggressive with it. And I think we're going to start to get a lot better. You'll see this in the next couple of weeks. Just look at our YouTube, because I'm doing it for my other channels right now.
Dude, and I do the same thing. I used to create content just for YouTube, but now I slice and dice a lot of our podcast videos and our recordings for YouTube, Instagram, etc. It does wonders for us. It performs very similar, and it saves a lot of time. But that goes back to content repurposing. And we didn't do that at the beginning. I don't know why, but we started that years later, and we should have started that literally from day one.
Now, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'm here to answer them and help you out. If you enjoyed the video, like it, share it, tell people about it. Thank you very much.